Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rescripted Podcast, where we celebrate the great things in life, share about the not so great things in life, and figure out how we can rewrite those challenges, turn them into insightful moments that will lead us to change, growth, happiness, and empowerment, all so that we can live a life we truly want to experience. In today's episode, we are going to talk about the impact of self-doubt when it comes to your personal development. I don't know about you, but I know when I first start off doing some things, if I'm not sure of how to do them, I will get a little bit of like self-doubt about it. But once I start getting my foot in the door, then of course you start to develop a little bit more experience and a little bit more knowledge, and things just become easier and easier as you continue to go. But what happens when it's in the area that you feel too nervous to even try, or you just doubt yourself? What do you do? Well, typically what we do is we rely on someone else, right? Whether it's a family member or whether it's somebody that we respect in that field, and we listen to them almost like a mentor. Instead of leaning into ourselves and building ourselves, what we end up doing is relying on someone else. So we get that trust that we have in ourselves, and we actually give it away and put it into someone else. And of course, it seems to be easier, right? Because you feel like they have all the knowledge, they may have a little bit more experience, so of course they would know more. But what if I was to tell you that that's actually a disservice? The fact that you don't know something isn't truly a hindrance. It's really all depending on how you look at it. So for instance, you can look at it from that side, look at it from something that's holding you back, or you can look at it as an opportunity to grow. You've discovered an area where you want to grow in, but you just don't have the skill set or the experience behind it. So this is just highlighting where your starting point should be. So instead of doubting yourself and not giving yourself the chance to trust your intuition, what you're really doing is stunting your own growth when it comes to personal development. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, if that is something that interests you, if you have some sort of intrigue into that, eventually you're going to have to allow yourself to dive into that area, whether it's knowledge or skill set, and you have to develop that. And what happens if you never give yourself the opportunity? If you always kind of, hand it off to somebody else, will you ever develop? Will you ever get the valuable knowledge that you're supposed to get? Chances are no. So now what do? Now you don't have the skill set. Now you don't want to outsource it to anybody. What do? Well, the only way to grow a muscle, the only way to grow skills is to put yourself to the test and figure it out. See where you land, see how much ground you've already covered by just general experience and how you've been able to adapt, and see if there's some different elements from outside sources that have helped, right? So maybe you haven't developed it specifically in that arena, but maybe there are already skill sets that can lend themselves to what you want to learn. So you're not always starting from the beginning just because something is new. You may have already have some of these skill sets. Now you just have to translate them over to what you're currently learning. And then another thing is to take everyone's advice with a grain of salt. Not saying that every piece of advice is going to be harmful or detrimental, or not that everyone that's going to try to help is actually going to hinder you. That's not the case, but take it with a grain of salt. Just because something worked perfectly for somebody else doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work perfectly for you. For instance, you have to see what are the things that motivate you, what are the things that inspire you, and what are the things that light you up, that ignite that curiosity to give it your all, to get motivated, to actually put in the work, even when you don't want to, even when you're tired. Because sometimes, let's say, I'm a creative, right? So I need to get stimulated. There's certain things that I choose to do. Like I love doing things for the first time on my own. That way I could see really the mechanics of how something is done. There's something about the development of something that's really intriguing to me, and I get so much wealth of knowledge and inspiration from it. So a lot of times I like to do things myself, and then I'll discover whether I enjoy it or not, and if I'm going to continue to do it myself or outsource it. But at least I have the knowledge of understanding how something works, and if it's something that really benefits me in doing it or not. Then there's other types of people where You just have to tell them what time to show up and where to show up, and they love routine. They don't need to be stimulated. They don't need to be motivated. They're actually motivated by routine itself. And that's great, but somebody's advice that's like, if I was to give advice to somebody that has that like mechanical makeup, then what I have to offer may not be the best advice for them, because they don't need all this. They don't need to learn how to do everything. They don't want to do everything. They just want to show up and have their routine. It's familiar, it's safe, it's something that they can rely on, and that's consistency. And we all love consistency. But in reverse, if somebody in that type of build was to give me advice, it wouldn't lend as favorable to me as it is to them, because again, what stimulates us is so different. I don't know that I could just show up to the same place continuously every single day, do things every single day the same way. I think I would try to get the max out of it, try to explore how I can break it up and have different experiences out of the same elements. But at the end of the day, you will get to a point where there's only so much that you can get out of it, and then I'm off to the next thing. Like, for instance, here on this podcast, now I'm recording it in office now, but maybe a few days I'm going to be inspired to record it outside and show you some elements of this beautiful state of Florida. And that's just going to give you variety, and that's going to continue to stimulate me. Some people would advise against it. Some people would advise for it. I just have to find what makes me stimulated and inspired to continue to share the word of how personal development doesn't have to be the same for everyone. It just has to be meaningful for you. It has to inspire you. And the best way to do it is to make sure that we're not the ones getting in our own way. So it's so many different ways to achieve your desired goal. The best thing that you can do for you is to stop doubting yourself and actually start betting on yourself. You are with you 24/7, right? You can't get away from yourself even if you wanted to. So if you are essentially your best friend, you are essentially your ride or die, and you're the one that's going to have your back through thick and thin, regardless of what, then you are the person that you should trust the most. So you should bet on yourself, because when you feel that your instinct is going to guide you, allow that to lend itself over to the areas that you have doubt. There's so many ways that you care for yourself and you protect yourself, and you just naturally, instinctually protect yourself. The same thing will happen in these areas of doubt. You're going to allow yourself to almost blossom and realize, okay, well, I might be a little nervous, but maybe I could try this. Or, I tried that, but I really didn't love the results. Maybe we can mix it up and try it a little bit this way. The only thing you end up doing is figuring out different ways of how to do something, and then you can master it to find the right way that you like to do something and make it perfect to you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you master it to your liking, and that's the fun of growing. Because if you just stay stuck and you stay stagnant because of fear, because of doubt, well, then life becomes mundane, boring, and actually you're just not stimulated, and you'll end up getting more of those thoughts of like, I should be further in life. Just start analyzing of all the different things that you wish you could have changed if you can go back in time. Well, there's something even better. You don't have to go back in time to change anything. You could change it right now. And the best way to do it is to bet on yourself. I know it's hard when you have a family that loves you and wants to protect you and always wants to give you advice. And if you have best friends that adore you and know the beautiful parts of you, and they want to give you direction. But at the end of the day, you need to realize, once you stop pleasing them and taking their advice, and you just give yourself a moment, trust yourself, trust your intuition, and allow that to guide you, you're going to see that you're going to blossom and bloom even better. And you'll be able to be a better parent. If you are a parent, you'll be able to be a better friend. You'll be able to be a better child, a daughter, son, because now you're not coming from a place of feeling unfulfilled. You're starting to feel those mechanics work. For instance, I was just talking to a friend a few days ago, and she was saying how one of her little family members is 2, and she said they're into their terrible 2s. right? But truly, they're actually at that stage where they want to help so much and they get so excited to help to do things. So we're discussing the different ways that you can use that energy and have them learn how to actually be productive and use that energy to like learn and grow and even help them around the house. So the same thing is with us as adults. That doesn't go away. Wanting to be stimulated, being curious, all those elements don't go away. Sometimes we suppress them and they come out in different ways because you still want to feel excited. You still want to feel ignited about your life. You still want to feel like you're building something. You're moving towards something. But the moment that you stop allowing yourself to grow, well, you lose all that drive too. And it takes a lot more energy to then start back up when you're not already having the ball rolling on something. So if you need assistance with that, of course, I did create a download because some people just need that little piece of advice. Other people need a little bit more of a deep dive, and I'm more than happy to create a download for you. So I did link down below in the description area, the comment area, a download that I did that's called People Pleasing. Stop People Pleasing and Get Your Power Back. And you're going to see that it's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't believe someone or you don't trust them because you don't take your advice. It's just you're going to take it with a grain of salt. You're going to see what element of that advice works for you, what element of that advice you're going to have to bet on yourself and trust your own instinct on, and no one can get upset at you for that, right? Because at the end of the day, we all got to follow the beat of our own drum, right? So whether that is to be systematic, whether that is to be free-spirited, you have to find what works best for you because that's going to bring out the greatest parts of you. I hope you found that helpful and insightful, and I hope that you apply that and you start seeing the difference, and then you realize just a few tweaks a day, you're going to see improvement. And before you know it, you're going to be miles away from where you started, and you're going to be so proud of yourself. Well, that's the end for today. Like I said, I'm going to keep these short and sweet. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And if you feel like you enjoyed this episode and feel like you got insight from it, please rate it and subscribe. Share it with someone you feel would enjoy it. And I'll see you back here next week where we'll continue to discuss about personal development. God bless. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.